speaker. And as you can imagine, when we get together this amazing group focused on a growing, passionate community dedicated to enriching lives through performance-based music education, right? That sounds familiar, I hope. You have to sort of search the world and say, who would be the best voice in the world to talk about that topic? There's kings and there's queens and there's rock stars. But we were really, really lucky to find our keynote speaker for tonight. And rather than me introducing our guest speaker, I'm going to actually call for a video which is going to give you a little bit of a glimpse of our honored guest.
Hi, my name is Max DiFrisco. I'm an 18-year-old singer from Oak Park, Illinois. I was born with a very rare condition called prune belly syndrome, which means that I have no stomach muscles. This made it really hard for me as a kid growing up. I was always in and out of the hospital, always pretty sick, and I was usually cooped up inside. It was always a very musical household with my family. Throughout all elementary school, found as many opportunities as I could to perform, and it wasn't until middle school where I discovered School of Rock. It was a beginner guitar and bass camp, and the second I walked into that building, I fell in love, and I knew that I had a new place I could call home. And I've found so many of my inspirations through performing at School of Rock. It's really changed my life for the better. Most of the things I've learned about how to be as a person and a good person were from School of Rock, Oak Park, and School of Rock in general, and School of Rock All-Stars. I've recorded a few different albums and EPs with my friends from School of Rock and a few different bands, and also by myself as a solo artist. In the future, I really hope to see myself find a career in music. I want to thank you so much.
Thanks, Rob, for hyping me up. I hope I can live up to it. Hello, everybody. My name is Max DiFrisco. I'm the kid you just saw in that video there. It's an absolute honor to be able to speak to everyone here, and I'm so glad that I got this opportunity. I was born in September of 2000 with a very rare birth defect known as prune belly syndrome. It's got a great ring to it, I know. It affects 1 in 50,000 births. Many of which are actually stillbirths or terminated pregnancies. Having the syndrome means I don't have any stomach muscles among many other smaller issues. Personally, I got very lucky. Despite my first 3 years being riddled with health issues, surgeries, and even a month-long coma, I came out on the other end very strong and remarkably healthy. However, many other children with the syndrome are not nearly as lucky as I have been. I've had the honor of being named the Youth Ambassador of Prune Belly Syndrome Network, which means I've conducted a lot of outreach amongst the youth community affected by prune belly, and I've spoken at and organized many of the events at our annual conventions that we have. I see so much strength and power in these kids who have to live their lives in wheelchairs with feeding tubes, on breath support, or with immense physical deformities. So in seeing these things, my family and I have always sought to find common grounds amongst the kids. We discovered that one of these common grounds was music. So many of us struggled watching the kids that grew up around us playing sports or being constantly active and moving. And many of us turned to music. My father noticed this when I was a child and capitalized on it. He'd been a musician for all of his life already, and when he saw me around other young kids with disabilities, he decided to start making music for that demographic. For many years, he made music under the name Party Marty. His target audience on the surface seemed to be any young kid who wanted to get up and dance. But the true motivation was to make music for kids who used it to heal. When I got the title of Youth Ambassador, I started doing the same. I would bring my father's guitar to every convention and play for the kids and the parents. There was a certain glow I would see on their faces that I wouldn't see anywhere else. They got a sense that they could do the exact same thing that I was doing. Despite me performing for them and inspiring them, I was never quite convinced that I could make music my top priority. That is until I found the place that I'm assuming everybody in this room calls home in some way. In 7th grade, my mom signed me up for a camp at School of Rock, Oak Park. I fell in love the second I walked into that building. And I met people in that camp that I still play music with, and one of them has even become one of my closest friends and songwriting collaborators. The staff made me feel so welcome and wanted there. This includes the incredible owners of the school, Amy and Bob, and the general manager of the school, Holly, who started working there pretty much right when I started. I signed up for a seasonal show immediately after finishing up the camp. The second I started rehearsing for my first show, a tribute to Tom Petty, I decided to dedicate most of my time to the show. My parents can attest to the fact that I came home every day from school, writing and rewriting the lyrics to every song, just in case I needed to fill in for an absent singer at rehearsal. At this point, I was very much a beginner guitar player as well, and I learned every song in the show just so I could try to convince my director, Chris, to let me play a song on guitar for the show. I ended up playing on Into the Great Wide Open, and I was ecstatic. My first show was everything I wanted it to be and more, and I knew I would love spending my time as a high schooler participating in these seasonal shows. They honestly kept me motivated at school as well, and I think School of Rock started to make me become a much more productive student and help me build time management skills. And within a year after my first show, I became a member of our school's show team, and I've been one since. Shout out to my director, Adam Insefjord, sitting over there. Everybody please join me in singing What a Man by Salt and Pepper in his honor. No, it's okay, we'll skip that. We're on a schedule. We're on a schedule with you. Glad that one landed. It took me 2 auditions to make it onto the team, with my first audition consisting of me singing 2 songs that were very out of my range and my voice cracking constantly during both of them. It was a great time. I redeemed myself a few months later and made it onto the team just in time for high school. I was elated. I had made so many close friends during my 2nd and 3rd seasonal shows, and most of us made the team at the same time. We could now spend our time playing music more often and with each other, which is exactly what we all wanted. From there, I built some of the strongest relationships in my life. Most of my closest friends are people I met in the student lounge at my School of Rock, and it's a continuously growing list of friends too. Whether it's the oldest kids from my first season on show team, or the youngest kids from my current team, or the kids from another country that I've been on All-Stars with, my list of best friends is huge, diverse, and extremely talented. Going back to those first friendships, though, I think it's worth mentioning how important they were and still are to me. We were a group of kids who had consistently felt like outcasts at our respective schools, and many of us had mental health issues that became increasingly more concerning to us as we went through middle school and high school. The fact that School of Rock gave us a place to convene, talk to each other about our problems, and make us feel like we belong, without question, saved some of our lives. We're forever indebted to those couches in our student lounge and our first shows as a group of friends. It truly allowed us to find ourselves and be ourselves in ways we did not have the courage to beforehand. In that way, I don't think there's any other program like School of Rock. And All-Stars was just another new way for me to make friends as well. My first tour in 2017 meant the world to me. I had no idea if being on a bus every day for 2 weeks straight with a bunch of kids I hadn't met would be a reasonable way to make friends. And as it turns out, I don't know if there's a better way. I made some incredible bonds on my first tour, and it was no different on my second. Friends I've made on tour have flown to Chicago to visit me, let me tour with them at colleges, and I even organized a Midwest tour with my friend Tori from my first All-Star team, which our 2 bands went on last summer together. I wouldn't have ever had those experiences if it wasn't for the All-Star program. So a big thank you is due to my 2 directors, Shane Baskerville, who actually couldn't be here this weekend, and Jordan Heimberger, I don't know where he's sitting. But yeah, for making those tours so special. The All-Star experience is one that really cannot be replicated. And working with all the talent on All-Stars and at my own school has also pushed me to be creative constantly. As much as School of Rock has helped me find myself musically, I think it was my responsibility to continue that growth through songwriting and producing on my own. This has been my main focus and priority over the past 2 years. Even though I've been writing music since middle school, My deep dive into this world of production started in the summer of 2017. Combination of all those words. My first band, Johnny Catland, also got a great ring to it. We picked 3 words out of a hat. We won some recording time the year before, but we recorded a batch of songs that I didn't write. The recording process seemed so intriguing, so I refused to let myself be left out of the writing process for whatever our next release was going to be. This next release ended up being our first full-length album called All Good Friends. I wrote most of the music and lyrics on the album, and it was actually pretty conceptually based in the bonds my whole band had made at School of Rock. We all met there and were part of the same group of friends that I talked about earlier. With many of the older friends going off to college that summer, I was very inspired to write about how much they meant to me, hence the title, All Good Friends. We recorded the album at Treehouse Records in Chicago on the same board that The Wall was recorded on, and that blew my mind. It was crazy. The album making process also blew my mind. I was so entranced by writing, making cohesive projects, and putting my thoughts into something that others can hear. So after that album was made, I haven't really taken a break. Immediately after, I started learning about home production and started a bit of a studio for myself to use. I recorded 2 EPs as a solo artist as quickly as I could and used them to get more familiar with this do-it-yourself recording setup I had. This led to my band's next album, which they allowed me to record, produce, and mix, which was very risky. I still didn't know much, still don't, and was learning something new every time I opened my computer, which I still am. But I was so excited. So from winter of 2017 to fall of 2018, we recorded my dream album in my house. With the help of teachers at my School of Rock who actually knew what they were doing, I mixed it and re-released it in December of last year. It was probably the most fulfilling thing I've ever been a part of musically. This process and the end product really made me realize that production is what I want to do with my life. So since then, I've produced and mixed 2 other bands' debut releases and another one of my own personal projects with a new band. I got an internship at that same studio I mentioned before, and I'll get to work with that same board that The Wall was recorded on. Even more crazy that All Good Friends by Johnny Catland was recorded on. Hey. Screaming now. Crazy. As of this weekend, I've actually decided that I will be studying music technology and audio engineering at UNC Asheville in North Carolina. Rob, there is no school there right now, and I would like a job over this summer. I've truly found my passions in life thanks to School of Rock and my family and my friends. And I know that making and performing music makes me feel something that I cannot really describe, and I hope to be doing it forever. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Stay standing, don't sit down. Marianne, Mom, can you hand your phone to somebody else? Let's bring Max's mom, Marianne, up here. A couple of thoughts. Y'all can sit. I'm not gonna make you stand the whole time. A couple of thoughts. So there's one thing I'm excited about, one thing I'm a little bit aggravated about, and one I'm really thrilled about. The exciting thing